Hey guys, Jeff here from PassiveIncomeUnlocked.com, and today I want to talk to you about web core vitals. Not so much what they are, but why I think most of us are looking at these upcoming changes the wrong way. So if you're unfamiliar with web core vitals, basically they're a set of metrics that Google announced a while back that will be rolling out in June that look at various measurements on the pages on your site. So the first one to know about is called largest contentful paint. And that's basically a measurement of how long it takes the largest element above fold on a page to load. That's usually going to be the logo, might be the featured image, could even be a block of text. The second one to know about is called first input delay. And that's basically the amount of time or the amount of delay before you can interact with the page. The third one to know about is called cumulative layout shift. And that's basically a measurement of the amount of movement that happens on a page as it loads. So if you've been following blogging or SEO at all over the last year, you've probably seen a ton of articles saying you need to address your web core vitals right away or you could lose rankings. So what I want to do with this video is show you the real benefits of improving your web core vital scores, and they might not be what you think. By the way, if you want to check your scores to see how you stack up, there's two ways to do that. One, you can use Google's PageSpeed Insight tool. And with that tool, you can just enter a single URL and it will give you the scores for that page. The other way is you can go to Google Search Console and you can actually get the scores for all the URLs across your site. It's going to basically tell you how many are in the red, how many are yellow, and how many are in the green. So as I mentioned earlier, if you've been following blogging or SEO at all lately, you've probably seen a lot of articles describing how to improve your web core vital scores. If you read into those articles, you'll probably see things saying that if you don't improve your scores, you might lose rankings, or if you do improve your scores, that your rankings will go up. The thing is, if you look at interactions between people and Google, so just on Twitter or whatever, where they actually reach out and say, what kind of impact is this going to have? In almost every scenario, they give the impression that it's going to be minimal. Of course, with Google, they won't give you a direct answer, so we'll have to wait to see for sure. But they usually say something along the lines of it will be used as a tiebreaker, meaning if site A is equal to site B in every other way, the web core vital scores could potentially bump one site over the other. I actually saw one yesterday where somebody from Google responded back to someone. They said the same thing, that it would be used as a tiebreaker, but they followed that up by saying sites don't really tie with each other. Basically saying we measure so many different things that it's very rare that site A is ever going to be equal to site B. So to me, that says it's probably going to have a very minimal impact. I'm not saying that's not worth doing. I'm actually going to say that you should try to hit those scores, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. So back to the point of my video, what are the real benefits of improving your web vital scores? So most people are trying to do this to either defend against ranking drops or to improve their rankings potentially when this rolls out. But really, if you look at why did Google roll this out in the first place, it's all about improving user experience. And that is the real benefit of improving your web core vital scores, to improve user experience. So let me just give you a few simple ways. Some of these aren't necessarily simple, but a few ways to improve your web core vital scores that would actually improve your user experience. So one, use a fast minimal theme. So if you use WordPress, you get to pick a theme, whether you're using a free one or a paid one. Look for something that says lightweight. Probably doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. That's going to be faster and that's going to be a better user experience. Another one is to use a fast web host. This one can cost you some money, so you have to evaluate how far are you into this process, how big is your website, decide whether or not it's worth upgrading your hosting. But if you use a fast web host, that will obviously improve your user experience as well. Another one, use a CDN, which is a content delivery network. So if you use a CDN, your site is going to actually, or part of your sites or parts of your sites will actually load from local servers. So if you're in Australia and you try to view a site that is located in the United States, it's going to load from a server in Australia instead, loads more quickly, and that's going to be a better user experience for that person in Australia. Another one, limit plugins. And limiting plugins is huge for a lot of different reasons. But if you limit plugins, you're going to have less conflicts, you're going to have less scripts loading, less potential vulnerabilities, which happens a lot with plugins. So lots of benefits there. Faster site. Optimize your images. So just download a plugin. Speaking of plugins, find one that will optimize your images for you so it can compress your images. It can provide lazy loading, so as you scroll down a site, your images don't load until you get to those images. So that's going to improve the user experience, make your site faster. And the last one I have on here is just to limit third-party scripts. That could be as simple as loading Google Fonts, or maybe a script you found online, or maybe a script or some scripts that come as part of a plugin. Anytime you're loading external resources, it's going to slow your site down. So those are just some simple ways that you can speed up your site, improve your web core vital scores. Whether or not you get into the green, who knows, but it will at least improve your user experience. And for me, that's what it's all about. Some people take this a little bit too far, so I'm going to give you a couple examples of what not to do. So here's an extreme example. Let's say that you want to improve that first metric, which was largest contentful paint, which is basically how long it takes for that the first element to load on your page, usually an image. So what you could do is actually just get rid of all the images on your website. If you get rid of all the images, you're going to have a lot faster, a lot better score on that largest contentful paint, because that biggest element's probably going to be text instead of an image. So there's an extreme example that actually hurts your visitors, does not help you, but will give you a better score. So you have to keep these things in mind, that it's not always better to improve your score. There are some drawbacks to doing so. Another one that will hurt not your users necessarily, or not your visitors, but will hurt you as a site owner, is you can remove all the ads on your website. So let's say that you run ads on your site and you have a square ad that loads in the middle of a page, and after 30 seconds that square ad turns into a rectangular ad. When it does that, your page is actually going to shift a little bit, and that's going to worsen your cumulative layout shift score, the third metric that I mentioned earlier. So yes, you could just remove all the ads on your site and you could improve that score really quickly and easily, but then you're not making any money from your site, so what's the point? And by the way, if you use Mediavine for ads, they do have an option in their settings. You can just go in, check a box, and that will solve it for you. It keeps the same dimensions for every ad, just puts a gray background behind it so there's no shifting. That was something that they rolled out a couple months ago in anticipation for these upcoming changes. So just to recap, web core vital scores are important. You should try to get into the green if you can, but if you can't get into them, or if you can't get all the way up there, don't worry too much about it. Just do what you can to improve your site speed and to improve the user experience, which is really what matters at the end of the day. My guess, and it's just a guess, is that this is going to be very minimal as far as the impact when these changes roll out. And I think most people, if you can get up into the yellow, you have a fairly fast loading site, good user experience, you're probably going to do just fine and see no changes in your rankings. And we'll have to wait and see what happens and adjust from there, but time will only tell, so we'll just have to wait and see. Alright guys, that's it for this one. I hope you found the video helpful. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons and hit that bell notification if you want to be notified of upcoming videos. Also, head over to passiveincomeunlock.com where I have a lot more tips on how to improve your website. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.